everyone. Welcome back to Not So Giant Women, the new Steven Universe podcast. We are Ivy and Daria, and today we will be watching and discussing episode 3, Cheeseburger Backpack.
Which is a title I love just in and of itself, can I say?
Yay! So we've already seen the pilot and the first 2 episodes, and now Daria has met the gems and seen them in action and gotten a little taste of what Steven's deal is. And so we're about to jump in and see this thing. And yeah, based on that title, do you have any predictions or expectations about this cheeseburger?
I'd actually imagined it as the thing one of my friends has, which is a backpack shaped like a cheeseburger. So
all right.
I might know not to assume yet. Sorry, the cat wants to interfere with the iPad. Do you want to watch too, Olive?
Aw, kitty.
I'm also seeing this as this is when we're getting to, well, not when we're getting to know, when we do kind of know Stephen and the gems and friends and really getting into the how things work in their world sort of thing, that we've done sort of the basic and the slightly advanced introduction.
All right. You ready to watch?
I'm ready to watch. I've got it here. Oh, better turn the sound on.
I'm ready to watch. You watch.
And here we go.
All right.
Pilot and crystal gems will always save the day. Anyone want a wet bagel?
Oh, Stephen.
Steven gonna Steven. All right.
Another Stephen succeeds almost despite himself tale.
Except for utterly failing.
Well, yeah. As Amethyst points out, he's on a 50% passing grade. Maybe a few extra points for his boat turning up again, his dinghy.
That is true. That is true. So, are you ready to give us a nice little summary of what we just saw?
I think we are. Here goes.
All right.
Stephen is waiting for the mail to come. He is most notably not singing a Beatles song about the post arriving, but it is quite familiar. The post does come. The carrier offers him a number of things before finally giving Stephen his parcel, that being a wacky sack. We don't find out what a wacky sack is, even though the mail carrier is quite curious about this. But at this point, the gems come home and Stephen runs back inside to find them covered in feathers and such. Amethyst has a giant egg, which she insists they can keep, and she insists there's room in the fridge, which there is after she takes everything else out, though notably we do hear a bit of a crunch as she gets the door closed. The gems reveal they have to go straight back out again to replace a small idol at the, what's it called, at the spire. Stephen thinks this is the perfect mission for him to join in on because he reveals his wacky sack is in fact a backpack shaped like a cheeseburger. So go me there.
Right on.
As he points out, he can carry the little statuette in the backpack along with several other things such as sweaters, some unidentified blobs, which we'll later see, and a squeezy toy called Mr. Queasy, who is one of your stock standard, not quite Tickle Me Elmo dolls, a blue creature who asks not to be squeezed and complains about his medical condition. The gems decide to let Stephen come along, even though he has stuffed a lot into his backpack. They get there via this wormhole transmat warp thing, which is sitting in the corner. This platform takes them to just by the spire in question, and the gems note, particularly Pearl, that it has somewhat run down in the 100 years since they were here last. It is falling apart. We see blocks fall off the great tower in the middle of the spire. Garnet says she's detecting structural instability. Thank you for that, Garnet. Bringing some great science there. Mm-hmm. Stephen almost falls prey to structural instability falling out from under him, but they save him. He is fine. They go into the spire to replace the idol. Along the way, they are freaked out, particularly Pearl, by finding the place is infected with crystal shrimps, which look like little grubs with crystals embedded in them. Pearl, and this week we find out she can project like images, holograms, things from the gem on her head. Pearl projects an elaborate plan involving striking at particular places, going in particular directions through the horde of of shrimps to get past them to where they need to be. Stephen, on the other hand, because all he needs to do is throw a couple of sandwich bagels out towards the shrimps, and they run towards the bagels to chow down. Stephen says this is what he would want to do if he was a shrimp, at which point Amethyst knows he is a shrimp. Pearl is a little put out that her elaborate hologram plan has not been put into action. Nonetheless, they go through, and along the way, and I've realized I've jumped one, they're finding out that there are obstacles. They couldn't get straight to the tower. There was a vortex would have pulled them down. Stephen gets the idea of using his accumulated sweaters to swing onto the tower. This is also what the gems do via Amethyst's whip, so there's one of his ideas working out. Encountering a rushing river or waterfall, Stephen has a dinghy in his backpack. They praise his idea, chanting Cheeseburger backpack to encourage him. However, as soon as he drops the dinghy on the waterfall, it goes over because that's what happens. Garnet congratulates him for at least trying and knocks over a nearby pillar that they simply walk across. When it comes time to replace the idol, Stephen, who is supposed to be carrying the idol, does not have it. He has left it on his bed in favour of Mr. Queasy. This is not good, as the idol needs to be replaced and the spire is falling apart around them. Stephen suggests putting Mr. Queasy in place of the idol, and the gems are kind of in a, well, we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas position, and let him try. The toy is placed on the pedestal receptacle thing. A light shines down and almost appears to be accepting it until it just bursts into foam and stuffing and fuzz. This brings the spire down around them, and they end up in the water below. Stephen feels it's all his fault, but Pearl notes that the spire was on the verge of collapse anyway. At this point, his dinghy reappears next to them, and they climb in. They note that it will be a 3-hour paddle back home, at which point Stephen offers everyone a wet bagel and fade out, or star out.
The end.
Yep. And the audience goes, oh, Stephen.
Yep. So this was Stephen's first real mission that we see.
I guess it is, yeah. And pretty straightforward mission. The old, what's called a spire, but basically it's a castle with traps, as we've seen before. So we know what we're in for. And he has creative ways to get past it, which means we are on the Stephen isn't just the incompetent load dragged along or dragging himself along. He does have useful moments, but nor is he hyper-competent, because he throws an inflatable raft into a waterfall, which does exactly what you'd expect.
Yep.
This is one of those moments. I kind of understand Stephen not getting that. You'd think the gems, or at least 2 of the gems, would notice the problem that's about to happen.
You would think. Yep. So he had one job, really.
Yeah.
I imagine that a lot of people saw that coming, especially when he just sits down and starts fumbling in the backpack. Almost everybody that I've seen react to this goes like, oh, he doesn't have it, before he reveals he doesn't have it. It's not too surprising, but you could just feel his stomach drop when he realizes, oh crap, I don't have the thing.
And this is the one thing I said I would be good for, is carrying the thing, and I've not carried the thing. He has left it on his bed, in his little loft bedroom thing.
That's right. Yep. So I guess they make it pretty clear that, the gems are always off doing these adventures. He never gets to come. And before they go on this one, Pearl was talking about, oh, we fought a giant bird, and Garnet has the feathers in her hair. Like, I adore that. I drew a picture of it once.
Cool.
But I was thinking, when this started, when the episode started, it makes you think, like, what are they getting up to that some giant bird has their moon goddess statue that they had to win back? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I like the idea that there is something has happened off screen. We don't entirely know what. We just got to put a few pieces together at the end.
Right. And for Stephen, it's just like, it's about getting to go on an adventure. He just wants to come. He wants to be included. So it's cute. It's relatable, but you can tell there's something much bigger going on right outside.
Yeah, and the gems seem to be able to, okay, it's probably safe to take him on this one position.
Yeah. All we'll have to deal with is a little bit of stair climbing and maybe some shrimp.
Because they didn't know the fire was falling to bits until they got there, so.
That's right, yeah. So I guess if we back up to the very beginning with the you meet the mailman. We get a confirmation that his surname is Universe. So that's new information. I think that a lot of people guess that considering the name of the show and Mr. Universe, but
I took a stab at that too, but I also did notice that he just referred to himself blankly as Stephen. I thought, oh, is this one of those things where I avoid saying his full name? Oh, no. There we go. Mail carrier just said it.
Yeah. And he doesn't seem to have any negative reaction to that. So it seems like he and Steven kind of know each other. He's probably always ordering goofy things like wacky sacks.
Yeah, and Stephen probably just kind of assumes everyone knows who he is anyway, just by Stephen.
Sure. It does seem like a pretty small town, at least with what we've seen so far. He just, walks into the donut shop or walks over to the fry shop and they know what he wants and they know what to expect from him. So
he's probably borrowing a bit of the gems fame as well. You know me, I'm Stephen. I'm with the crystal gems. I'm a proper gem warrior. I'm not their tag along kid at all.
Yeah. So he seemed the mailman seemed pretty practical. He's like, that seems reasonable when he says, kid, they say they don't want me to go on the missions because I don't know how to control my powers. That seems reasonable. He was fun for like a one-off kind of interaction there.
And also just recaps anyone who hasn't joined until episode 3 for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I do like the way Pearl shows an amusing character streak when Stephen does throw out the dinghy at first and she praises him with, that's so sensible, in the same way anyone else would say, that's awesome, which is another tells you all you need to know about Pearl moment.
Oh my goodness, yeah. There was a lot of moments like that in this with her flipping out over water damage. This didn't look like that. That used to have a head. Their shards are deadly.
I think even apart from the shards are deadly, she strikes me as someone who just doesn't like creepy crawlies all over the place either.
More than likely. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be there and it was freaking her out and they were creepy. So, yeah.
I did like the design of the crystal shrimps though.
They were neat. Yeah, they were... they look very much like grubs, like you said, but if they're made out of crystal, they're a little less gross.
Yeah.
So, I like Amethyst saying she's going to make an omelet or a quiche with that giant egg. And like, you just know probably later Pearl opened up that fridge and just went, Amethyst, and cleaned it up.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it knowing Amethyst at this point, it's about 50-50 whether that crack wasn't making a mess or there's some kind of baby bird monster hatching in the fridge. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that would be terrible. It would eat all the food first, which would be the ultimate tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
So, what about that Mr. Queasy doll? I'm curious, did you think that it was going to work or did you think it wasn't going to work?
I thought it was going to work. I thought this was going to be a bit of a, for all the trouble it saves the day moment as we were watching the light and, it's raising up. And then whatever governs the tower and its receipt of idols just says, nope, this is a Tickle Me Elmo knockoff.
Yeah, there's no gems in this.
I've seen a few random shows lately that have had the not Tickle Me Elmo sort of thing. So this was a familiar thing already.
Oh, that's funny. I never thought of it like that, even though the parallels are very obvious once you say it. It's like with Tickle Me Elmo, I know he would sometimes say, don't tickle me or protest, which is a little scary. But actually, this struck me as a little bit out of character for Steven, even not really, but like that he keeps shaking it when it says, please don't shake me. So, but he knows it's a toy. He's not really hurting anything. So
I think he understands that much.
Yeah. He finds it funny that it keeps saying, I got a medical condition.
Yeah, that's the other thing I like, that it says all these vaguely off-putting catchphrases rather than the usual sort of thing.
Yeah. Kid, you're killing me.
In this kind of, not a cute puppet voice, but like a 50-year-old New Yorker.
It's actually, the voice is done by Ian Jones-Cordy, who helped draw the episode. He's one of the artists on it, and he's also dating Rebecca Sugar. So
there we go. Everyone loves each other behind the scenes.
Much later. What was that? Oh, he was cleaning out some stuff from his office recently and showed a picture of the script from that. And he's like, this should have been my Emmy nomination. The lines from Mr. Queasy. It's so great. It's adorable. I actually thought because I actually, when I saw it, I thought it was going to work as well. I thought it was going to accept it. And I thought it was kind of unusual for them to actually end the episode with like a failure of a mission, that his confidence is not really built by this. He's brought along and he feels like he screwed it up. And even though they pat him on the head and say it's fine, he didn't actually win the day for them, even though he had some good ideas and some successes. And usually, like in the previous 2 episodes, we have Gem Glow, where he didn't get his shield to work, but he got the freezer that electrocuted the Centipedo. And then with the laser light cannon, he found the cannon, he produced it, and he accidentally figured out the password. Like, it's sort of the heart thing, like you were saying. So I was expecting that to happen in this too. Somehow he would come through, but he didn't. And the Lunar Sea Spire is underwater.
Yeah, they get the "you can't win them all" lesson.
Yeah.
The gems
True.
seem okay with this. If they've been doing it for thousands of years, chances are they haven't succeeded in every single little mission they've ever been on. So they probably went, oh, well, put a black mark against that one. Better luck next time. Even Pearl is of that opinion. So you'd think if anyone was going to be uptight about it, it would be her. So this is something they've come to accept after centuries of being at Crystal Gem worrying.
Yeah, you're right. Like, you would think she would be the first one to at least express displeasure, like frustration or something. But she was doing that a little bit in the mission, like, take this seriously and behave yourself. But then at the end, he screwed everything up. And she's like, no, you were doing fine.
And she's like, well, once it's done, it's done. We can't really do anything about it now.
It's true.
But to Stephen, this is the first mission he's gone on, as opposed to things just happening around him.
Yes.
So he's understandably disappointed how
they let him come.
How much
they let
this
him use the warp pad thing.
Ah, yes. And this is obviously something he's done before, because he enjoys trying to stick his head out of the stream or in the stream, depending how you see it. And Pearl has to put him back in a voice that suggests this is not the first time she's had to do this either.
Oh, yeah. She says, do you remember how to do this? And it seems like this may be like kind of the first real mission, but it's not the first time he's used the warp pad. So you have to wonder, like, what have they been doing with him to kind of acclimate him to the world that they inhabit? I like that they try to include him. Like, on this mission, they let him try to solve the problems. He was pretty proactive, actually, but in every section where he solved the problem with the sweaters and stuff, then Amethyst just did the same thing with her whip. So they could have done it without him. And the same with the crystal shrimp. Pearl wanted everyone to know her plan would have worked.
Yes.
And then finally, my favorite is when he throws the raft in the river and Garnet just says, oh, well, she kicks down a pillar, thing falls down, they walk across it. Good idea anyway, Steven. Like, they obviously could have done it without him. He was not indispensable, but they let him try first. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, they let him try. And I imagine when they let him come at first, they thought this is going to be a fairly low-risk mission. We just have to, as you say, climb a few stairs, put an idol back where it goes. It'll boost the boys' confidence. And we're not anticipating any monsters or eldritch abominations or whatever else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could tell Pearl did not expect to see those shrimp.
Definitely. And at first I thought she had a particular phobia of shrimp, but she seems to just not like them.
Yeah, probably. They were in the way of her mission, so it's an infestation.
Shrimp introduced us to this week's food, which was fairly straightforward this time. Bagel
this
sandwich.
Week's food. Gee, how did you guess? Should I jump into talking about that now?
Let's go for it. Since the segue opened via the shrimps.
I mean, I have some other stuff that's episode related as well, but I'd be glad to talk about food first. I have indeed made those bagel sandwiches. And there are actually 2 different versions of it. I looked at the model sheets because that's the dork that I am. So they have these model sheets for any objects or anything new, so they had these prop sheets and they had 2 kinds. So they had one that was a cheese, egg, and Canadian bacon version.
I spotted the cheese and the egg.
Fried egg. Yeah. And one was a fried egg, cheese and like turkey slices version. So they're slightly different. So of course I made both, but I made vegetarian alternatives of those. I used veggie Canadian bacon and tofurkey. It is obviously not complicated to make one of these bagel sandwiches, but the little rundown was, I made a sliced bagel, put the Canadian bacon one, I put that on there first, and I scrambled an egg. I used the microwave because I'm cool. And then you just put that on there, put the cheese on the top, and top it with the bagel, and chuck it at a shrimp. And the fried egg one is a little more complicated because if you don't know how to make a fried egg, then, you're at a loss. But, just heat some oil up in a pan and dump an egg in and leave it alone until the white part thickens, put a cover on it. That's the only sort of hard part. Then you throw that on there on top of, I guess there was the turkey slices go on the bagel first, then the egg, and then the cheese, and then top of the bagel. And then you can also chuck that at shrimp.
Yeah, I've had both of them without egg before, so this one I've actually pretty much done.
Well, now you have a perfect tool to save your friends. I'm sure it really works. It brings me to a question, though. Like, they're bug creatures that appear to be of gem origin, but he just knew that they would like food, and they go for it. It's like, really? Huh. They like to eat. So I guess they're just like amethyst.
Yeah, for that much, I took it that, as Stephen said, what would I want if I was a shrimp? So I don't think it's a complicated notion of a crystal gem-based ecosystem as, animals like food.
Right. Yep.
I guess they're quite omnivorous if they've been, just dining down on parts of the spire, the sea spire, for all these years. And I guess a bagel brings a nice change of pace.
Yeah. Maybe they just wanted to go investigate what the heck it was. I don't know.
This is something that is not made of rock.
Yeah. I wonder if they were contributing to the degradation of that structure. Something I haven't thought about before.
Yeah, they could have just been nibbling at vital points.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know anything about the spire other than it's been there for at least 100 years and it wasn't falling apart last time. So whether it was new 100 years ago or it lasted hundreds and hundreds of years before that, I don't know. And all I know about crystal shrimps, of course, is that they are drawn to bagels. So I don't know how destructive they are.
Yeah. When Pearl was talking about the spire, she said it was a haven for gems on Earth. What do you think that means?
Well, certainly points back to the idea there's kind of a gem community, if you will. Mm-hmm. I mean, we pretty much, last week we can pretty much take as read they're not the only three, and I've taken a safe guess, which has been all but confirmed, that even adding rose quartz, they weren't the only four. Mm-hmm. So I say that when means that other gems, even if they aren't stationed there as the big three are, do sometimes have to visit and or spend time on Earth. And this is where they can do it in a sort of gem-friendly setting, especially if they're not so adjusted to earthly beach city life as our three seem to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not said exactly where the spire is, but if they could paddle home in 3 hours, it can't be that far away. So it's probably close to home, somewhere out in the sea.
And she said in so many words, it's on Earth, so they haven't nipped into a pocket dimension or anything like that.
Right. It looked very magical, but this is clearly on Earth, so you know that these places are, gem structures are on Earth. Pearl said it was abandoned, so kind of leaves you with more questions than answered.
Have there been not many other gems sticking by for a while? Did something go wrong with this and they had to shack up somewhere else? Yeah, there's questions.
Yep. Yeah, she's dropping a lot of information that she's not telling you the context for.
It's nice passive world building because she doesn't turn around and say, now other gems have been coming to Earth since the year dot, and here is where they stay, except we are different because we learned to live amongst the humans and eat fry bits and giant eggs and etc., etc.
Yeah, if you know that if someone was going to say it, it would be Pearl would be the one to explain.
Yeah, in fact, Pearl kind of, if she was to drop a whole bunch of exposition, I don't think I'd notice as much as the others because she's just that kind of person.
She loves to talk, yes. She's just like, I'll go first in the first episode. She's like, I'll teach you anything.
Yeah, she loves to talk and she loves to deposit knowledge, especially as it probably also enables her to show that she has knowledge that someone else doesn't.
Yep, Yeah, that's definitely the read that you get from her. She also seems to be interested in teaching Stephen about gem stuff specifically, because she said she wanted him to pay attention. She's like, this place is your heritage. She wanted him to understand.
I guess that I noted too, definitely the heritage line. So
Yeah.
she's certainly not objecting to him being there. She just wants him to take it more seriously.
Right. Doesn't really understand that he's a kid. It was really neat that she had that, as you noted, that projection power. That was new in this episode. Yeah, she didn't do that before. So it's a very useful tool if you want to randomly have lectures at the drop of a hat to be able to make a PowerPoint from your head. I like that. And it's very appropriate to her. I like that. I'm just glad she doesn't have like her gem on her butt or something, so she would have to turn around to do it. It seems very appropriate just coming from her head.
Yes, fortunately for the show, all the gems we've met so far have their gems in very G-rated positions.
Yes. You know, of course, in the fandom, there are people who have changed that.
Oh, I am not surprised.
You know, they're like, this is my gem Sona. She's named Coprolite, and she has a she has a gem on her butt. You know. Anyway, let's see what else.
Someone's probably done crystal gem burlesque with gem pasties out there.
Oh my goodness. I would not be surprised. I would not put anything past this fandom, honestly. Oh goodness. Let's see. What other cool new things did we learn? I think we went over most of them. I think this is when I got a more like solid feeling that Garnet was in charge. Like she's always kind of talked and acted like she's in charge, but especially when they looked at her at the end, when they're like, could that work? And they just looked at her and she goes, like they expect her to have the answer.
Yeah,
and,
that it's she actually, as you say, is in charge. She's not just the most reasoning. She's actually respected or at least acknowledged in that position by the other two.
She gives commands a lot. Like she's like, let's warp and let's go. We have to go up the stairs. Watch out. You know, she tells people, well, occasionally it comes in very obvious statements. I'm sensing structural instability. No kidding. But in general, it seems like she's very pragmatic. And I noticed that both times that Pearl and Amethyst were chanting Cheeseburger backpack, she didn't join in, and they didn't even expect her to. They didn't even look at her to do it because they just knew she wouldn't.
Yeah, she talks very little, in fact. Mm-hmm. More than she did in the pilot, but that might also have been because the pilot was 7 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's not like a Silent Bob situation. It's not like she only speaks when it's completely some kind of wisdom she's going to drop or something, but it's almost like she pays for the words she's going to say at the beginning of the day and she can't spend them all.
Yeah, and it seems a bit, although this is something we haven't seen much of to be able to say for sure, that this does go with the Freudian triad thing, that she lets Amethyst and Pearl sort of gush out what they're going to say in their highly emotive or highly organized way and sort of processes that and then approves, disapproves, gives her instruction based on what she's just heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that fits very well.
Especially because neither of the other two are reticent to talk at all.
No. And even though they both like to talk a lot, they're on opposite sides. They're just kind of headbutting. So it was interesting that Pearl is freaking out about everything. Like, you know, this is dangerous. This is falling apart. This is not how it's supposed to be. Whereas Amethyst doesn't seem to have a whole lot of reaction to really anything, except for she got excited when Steven did the sweater thing. And then she's like, I'm going to do this. And she just follows him.
Without giving
Pearl's like,
any real warning.
Yeah. It's interesting that she just grabbed the other two like suitcases and jumped. That was fun.
Yeah, making it clear that crystal gems are pretty physically strong, that she lifted up two of her fellows who've had a second thought, and of course Garnet busted down the pillar just with a casual thump.
Yeah, that made me very happy. She's just like, boom, look what a badass I am.
In fact, we didn't really have a power-up battle sequence this week.
That's true.
Amethyst got her whip out of her chest, but she didn't even use it for whipping. She just used it as a swing line.
Mm-hmm. Pearl pulled out her spear, but she just cut the head off a statue while she was freaking out about shrimp. So she didn't really use it for battle either.
Yeah, and I don't think we got the whole cans at all.
Nope. I don't remember her bringing out the whole cans either. So I think you're right.
Yeah, I know they're probably called gauntlets or gloves or something, but once you've seen enough of those whole cans in the shops, I'm sorry, anything like that is now whole cans.
Yeah. I believe they do call them gauntlets, but people who have wanted to cosplay Garnet have sometimes bought a pair of whole cans and decorated them. So it's very appropriate. Let's see. What else do I have? I have a fun idea. You remember last time that we were talking about how so far we've seen two people cry and it was a boy and a man?
Yep, I remember that.
Maybe I'll try to think of a character speculation question for you, if I can think of one.
Well, that was Olive. She just shook everything on the little pedestal I've put the stuff on.
It's all right. You're included.
I'm just talking to the lady who lives in my computer, okay?
Oh. So here's the speculative question that I will ask you. So we were talking about crying and stuff, and if I asked you to come up with a theory as to the three remaining gems, the crystal gems, garnet, amethyst, and pearl, which one of them do you think would cry first?
See, I can kind of think of a case for any of the three, really.
Sure, it depends on the situation, but maybe if I asked it more like prediction-wise, who do you think will see cry first?
Pearl, I will go randomly out there and say. For those who aren't watching video, Ivy is trying to poker face herself to no end.
Is my face a spoiler? Okay.
I can't tell exactly what you're not saying, but I can tell how hard you're not saying it. But I can imagine Pearl doing it if one of her things goes just wrong enough just too many times or something like that. That would be my prediction. I can easily imagine Amethyst crying. This is a gimme just because she's so emotional. So she's been very upbeat emotional mostly so far. So, and if it were to be Garnet, I would imagine that there is occasionally something that just cuts too deep past her stoic exterior. But my current prediction, my 1 in 3 chance, is for Pearl.
What about the reverse of that? Like, who do you think would cry last?
Again, without knowing the circumstances they're going to face out of the three, I would think Garnet would cry last. She doesn't seem a very unnecessarily proud person so far, though most things have been sort of within her parameters of business as usual. Even though things have gone unexpected or wrong for her, she doesn't seem to have been completely at a sense-shaking loss thus far.
True.
So I'd say she has a wide range of things she can just take in her stride or absorb. I don't know that she wouldn't let others see her cry, but I'm not sure she'd make a big deal of it if she were either.
Yeah, I think just based on kind of what they're showing us so far, she has shown us the least, I guess, about herself, but that is also showing you something about herself. Like the fact that she isn't sharing, that you don't know what makes her tick, is something that we know. I think that's really fascinating.
Yes. We don't know if she's sort of low on emotion or if she's more like a Vulcan and just keeps them all in check.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely don't know which it is. Because right now they are really very, they kind of depend on their character type so far for their characterization. So we're definitely just seeing her stay in her lane.
Yeah, and she so far is, as we've seen, the grown-up, the stoic, the Vulcan, the mom, the parent. If you want to put that, that's her thing so far.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd see the one, even out of the 3 and a bit episodes we've seen so far, Pearl has come the closest to going outside her type, but I'd say because her superficial type is also easiest to break without completely breaking.
I could see that.
If you see the uptight person break or what have you once or twice, it actually seems to be in keeping with the rest of it without you necessarily going, oh, they've completely shattered the character now.
Yeah. I would say that is, I am in agreement on that.
Yeah. And Amethyst so far, I think there's a degree of what you see is what you get with her, at least in the fairly mild adventures we've had.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that
Right.
too. It seems like she's a very genuine person and you don't feel like she's hiding anything at all.
I mean, the deepest emotive stimulus we've seen so far would be remembering Rose Quartz last week, which affects them on an emotional level. But even that is sort of still part of their life. They miss their fellow gem, but it's not news to them that she's gone or anything. So
Right.
their emotions are very much in the swing of things. They're not going to be completely shocked at that. So I suppose I'm saying that what we've seen so far, there hasn't been anything to provoke a radically out of context response.
I think you're right about that. We know that Stephen supposedly he came into existence because Rose Quartz gave up her physical form. And so however long he's been alive is how long they've been without her. So it's not a brand new thing.
Yeah, exactly how giving up one's physical form to make babies works, we're still yet to learn, but I'm here to be curious about that.
I think you might need a gem sex ed talk. We'll have to have one for you sometime down the line.
No doubt with diagrams and things.
Who do you think would teach it?
Oh, I'm torn between Pearl wanting to explain stuff or not wanting to explain certain stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Or Amethyst just entirely explaining far too much too quickly.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you definitely have a good understanding of who they are. Are you ready for my merchandise?
Fire away.
I bet you know what it is.
Yep.
So, this is the Cheeseburger backpack.
Oh, wow. It's larger than I
Very
thought.
large. It does have pockets.
I can see the pockets and the zips.
Yes. Even the cheese is a pocket.
Yeah, well, they could barely sell without making that part of it after Stephen hawked it on the show.
Mm-hmm. It's officially licensed by Cartoon Network, and this is one of the earliest big merchandise items that I think came out, and I pre-ordered it and everything. And then one of my friends who lives in the UK, she was living in a place where they said they didn't ship at that time, and she wanted one, so I ordered one to my house and then sent it to her. So it even has straps that are onions.
Oh, clever.
Which I don't like onions. So I was in denial that they were onions for a while. I'm like, no, they're not onions, but they are.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could tell yourself they're bacon rinds, but that doesn't really help from a vegetarian
Doesn't
angle.
help me, yeah. I do also have kind of a surprise inside.
While you're fiddling there, I will just note for the audio viewers, the audio listeners, that it's quite large. When I was referring earlier to a friend having a cheeseburger backpack, I don't think it's an official one. I think it's just a backpack that happens to be shaped like a cheeseburger.
Right.
Hers it basically fits just between her shoulder blades and it's quite small. Ivy's that she's holding up here is easily as wide as Ivy herself across.
I'm also very small, but... Whee!
Yeah, in fact, Ivy's now put it on for us, and I'd say it's actually wider than Ivy.
Yeah. I would like to stress that I am a very small person, but yes, it is a very large backpack. And inside of it, I have a gift that one of my friends made for me when I complained that this did not exist as merchandise. My friend Carrie gave me a small Mr. Queasy.
Oh!
So this is not official
that's nice.
merch, but it's very cute. It doesn't do anything, like it doesn't have sound or anything. It's made out of paper mache or something, but he's so cute and there's no merch of him. So
there's no merch of that. I'm surprised at that, to be honest.
No.
That seems like a gimme.
Technically if you remember that last time I showed you the Mr. Universe van, one of the things that was inside of it that I couldn't show you, there is a Mr. Queasy doll inside of it that rattles around. And so I didn't want to show it to you, but it also is very, very small. It's a miniature. So it also...
Yeah, that was nice of your friend, and they did it pretty well, too.
Yes, she is really quite an artist. So she's made me a lot of Stephen-related stuff. She always makes her holiday gifts and stuff. So I was super excited about that because, I mean, to be fair, you can't really find Steven Universe merchandise that is official that I don't have yet. So it's like if you want to get me something from the show, you have to make it. So
Yeah, you can't just randomly punch up Steven Universe and send it to Ivy's Amazon.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I own every piece of merchandise. There are a lot of shirts and bags and a few coffee mugs and stuff. It just wouldn't be practical for me to collect like 40 of them. But at the same time, I do own kind of a ridiculous amount of stuff. So if somebody just takes their chances, most likely they will be getting me a repeat. So I do have an extensive collection. Actually, I once posted a picture of it on Reddit, and I said this might be the largest personal collection of Steven Universe merchandise that exists, and nobody contradicted me.
I thought there was a gauntlet being thrown down.
Yeah.
Someone was going to say, oh no, I've got much more. Look at this.
Yeah,
But
I've never heard anyone react to it by saying, "Nuh-uh, I have more," or "I know someone who has more." They're like, "Is that a museum?" So it really is pretty ridiculous. I have taken my collection habit very seriously, but nobody has a Mr. Queasy like this because it's one of a kind, and my friend Carrie is awesome.
Nice one, Carrie.
Yes, she is a sweetie. And she and I are actually watching the show together, and she's not caught up either, but she is also on episode 129. So you got a way to go before you catch up to her. So I still can't share everything with her either.
Probably be a while before we check in with Carrie on that.
Yes. Yeah. So let's see. The other thing that I guess we didn't talk about yet, but there's not actually much to talk about, is music, because there wasn't really a song this time, just background music.
Yeah, no, only, the usual themes and scores.
Well, there was right at the beginning, Steven singing, "Hey, Mr. Postman, bring me a post," but that doesn't really quite count. It was still cute.
I'm sure some people have tried rendering that. It's 10 seconds or so worth.
Yeah, it's got a little background track too that I think it's called "Hey, Mr. Postman" or "Mr. Postman" or something. And they play it in the background while that character is on screen, while the postman is on screen. So
yeah, and it reminded me of the Beatles song, "Hey, Mr. Postman," and I was sort of going, I think this is supposed to evoke that for people who know the song, but of course, this is an 11-minute first season Cartoon Network show. We're not going to shell out for Beatles song rights.
You might be surprised some of the references that you will notice, but it's one of those things where the kids don't have to get it.
Yeah, no, I like things like that, which are just left so people understand and go, well, like here, they could go, oh, it's almost like the Beatles song. But kids would just go, they're singing about the postman.
Yeah, because they probably do that. They sit there and wait for the postman. "Mr. Postman, bring me a post."
One of my friend's kids just sings everything she does, even if it's nothing. So I understand that.
The background music for this one, there were a few different ones. One is actually called, they titled them, and one of them is actually called "Water Damage," which I thought was funny. But mostly, I kind of felt like it made it sound like a video game almost, especially when they're climbing those stairs, and it almost had mild final boss music. It just really added a lot of atmosphere.
And the first few bits within the spire are a bit like an old school video game, sort of, you come to a room full of crystal shrimps. How will you get past them? You come to a gap between the cliff and the tower. How will you cross it? Your inventory includes sweaters, dinghies, etc.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, there are a couple of video games for this franchise. And when you're playing it, actually, I guess in both of them, there's one called Attack the Light and one called Save the Light. And in both of them, all of the items are stored in Steven's backpack. So he carries the backpack around. So it continues to be a thing, obviously. I think that's cute.
Yeah, the format of the show struck me as very video game friendly, even from the off.
Yeah, you definitely get the idea that they played a lot of video games. Everybody involved has had their ideas of narrative shaped by video game stories. Let's see. Trying to think if there's any factoids left that I should share. I shared most of them just where they made sense in the narrative. The mailman, he didn't get a name in the show, but in the voice credits, he's credited as Jamie. And so the postman, Jamie, and he's voiced by Eugene Cordero. And as I said, Ian Jones-Cordy did the voice for Mr. Queasy. This one was storyboarded by Ian and Rebecca Sugar, and a lot of people said that they noticed a big difference in the art. Like some of the cartoon versions of this, Steven was really malleable and drawn very, very cartoony. And I think that's just because Ian has a really cute cartoony style that stands out, kind of. He goes off model a lot in Ian's drawings, and it's by design, but some people don't like it. Some people say, like, what happened to the art? Why is it so weird?
I kind of noticed that, but I'm not used enough to how he looks usually to know as much if he's being, too flexible or something.
Yeah.
Because they are very flexible, malleable characters compared to other shows. So I haven't quite got a standard where I'm noticing who's making him the most rubbery.
Yeah, he kind of has a reputation for just the few episodes that he works on toward the beginning or come out like that. And it seems like there's been some negative reaction to it. Unfortunately, some of the haters for this show are like, it's always off model, and I don't like that. And they make excuses that really it's just lazy. And it's like, no, it's just not their priority to make every frame exactly the same as the next frame, like in a Disney show. It's freedom.
There was a word they used to apply to, because in 1980s action cartoons, they used to try to, draw things as realistically as the art style would allow. Right. And this just isn't the case here. We're into a far more stylized world. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say if something's always off model, maybe that's on model for it.
Right. There isn't a model. They do have character sheets that have the models spelled out, but they also wanted to allow people's artistic styles to filter in. And I guess mostly you just get the complaints when there's inconsistency in like the heights of the characters, or when they're wildly different sizes. Like in one episode he can reach the counter, and in the next he has to get a step stool to use the counter, stuff like that. If that was the case, then they complain about it, and I understand why. I mean, if that's the kind of thing that you care about in animation, okay, but I personally don't care that much about it. I would rather see the flexibility and the freedom for each artist to kind of explore it their way, so that we get their expressiveness and we get their additions.
And character heights have always been a bit weird. In fact, even live action tinkers with that, with actors on boxes and stuff. But I've seen a model sheet, not quite a model sheet, for the 1980s Transformers cartoon, which is supposed to be their relative heights to each other and has little scale drawings, lines of how many whatevers they are tall. And almost none of that is kept consistent in the actual show.
Surprise! I think it just...
So I think beyond this character's big and this character's small, then you're going to end up with wriggle room, especially in, a more, as you say, cartoonish animation such as Steven Universe.
Right, where what's important is just kind of what the characters are doing and feeling, and less about... I'm not going to say the artistic aspect of it isn't important, because of course it is, but that's not the aspect that they're focusing on when they try to make good art for this show. So I think most of the time you do see the relative heights of the characters are okay, but just you're never going to see Pearl drawn taller than Garnet, but
yeah, you're not going to see Stephen just randomly be as tall as any of them and buff with a chiseled jaw or something.
You'll never see that.
And that's probably some fan art out there. Buff Steven Universe.
Yes, you would be correct. Let's see. I think I'm about ready to wrap up, unless you wanted to share any final thoughts.
No, I think most of what I noticed has popped up either spontaneously or in response to your things. So
okay.
I think we're good to bid our listeners and viewers farewell for another installment.
All right. I will agree with that motion, and we'll put this one to sleep. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You've been listening to Ivy and Daria on Not So Giant Women.
You can find episodes of the show in video form by looking up Not So Giant Women on YouTube,
or in audio form at anchor.fm/Not So Giant Women, or your podcatcher of choice. You can also find us on Facebook.
Audio production by Daria.
Video production and music by Ivy.
Daria can also be heard on Podsploitation, the Ozploitation podcast,
and Ivy at her Steven Universe fan blog at love-takes-work.tumblr.com.
Steven Universe was created by Rebecca Sugar and remains property of Cartoon Network.
No infringement is intended.